Okay, apologize for the awkward ending of that previous video. I don't. It's been like a couple weeks of vacation, and I'm just kind of like off my game here. Okay, let's talk about the next thing we were supposed to talk about. We talked about all the Lalima navigation. Next thing is the syllabus. So let's go through this. Again, this is spring 2024. My office hours. We talked about this earlier, but in case you forget, it's right there again. Also, my email. Oh, this is supposed to say Zoom. Sorry, not we can Zoo. Okay, here's a quick introduction about me, so you can read that on your own time. Not gonna read it because that would be awkward. And then yeah, a little bit about the class. Here's the things that you're expected to learn by the end. But right now, if I read it to you, it's not gonna make a lot of sense to you because you don't know what these terms mean until the end of class, until the end of the course. So if you're curious, this is where we're headed. But don't worry, you'll understand what all these things are by the time the course is ended. Okay, MyLab Math Access, we already talked about that. Basically, just click on that link over there, follow the instructions. Note that you already paid for the textbook, so don't buy it again. Okay, what do you need? So you need a computer, smart device, obviously, internet, yeah. You need access to Lalima and Pearson, which is our homework site. Oops. And then last thing, expect to put in a lot of time. So remember, math is really like a language. That's the way I think about it. Or it's like learning a musical instrument or like a language. So to become fluent in it, it requires exposure, it requires practice, and you can expect to put in 5 hours. 5 hours, honestly, is a pretty conservative estimate for how much time you can expect to weekly be putting into studying and doing your homework and things like that. I'd actually expect to put in a little more time if I were you. But that's kind of on the lower end. Expect to put in about 5 hours per week just on this class alone, which is why, if you have like 4 classes considered full time, right? Because actually, yeah, if it's only four times 5 is 20. That's not that much, but pretty significant. Okay, anyways, communication. Email is the primary form of communication. So please check your email. And when I say email, check your UH email. And if you're not checking your UH email, then set up your UH email to forward to the email that you are checking. But to make sure that you're paying attention to email, because that's the primary way I will communicate with you. You can also see a lot of those communications repeated in announcements. But if you want to individually communicate with me, then that's also going to be through email. Yeah, this is just double. This is the actual UH policy from 2005, but this is just what I just said. Basically, check your email. Okay, alternative contact. If you want to talk to someone that's not me, you can talk to our department chair, Nadine Wolf, and here's her email. This is actually the department chair email, whoever it is. So even when she's not department chair, that email will go to the department chair at the time. The withdrawal deadline is March 22nd. Just kind of strange because that's the Friday of spring break, but just be aware that's the withdrawal deadline. If you feel like you're not going to make it through the class by that time you kind of have a good idea of where you are in the class, then that's the last day to withdraw. Also the last day to change to credit, no credit. Okay, participation. This is very important, guys. You probably have heard about this, but if you're a new student, then participation verification. This is policy that's nationwide, where if you don't demonstrate participation in the first week of class, then you get automatically dropped from the class. So how do you verify participation? Super easy. For us, all you got to do is do at least one thing. Do a classwork, do a homework, or do a Padlet post. Any one of those things will verify that you participated in the class. If you don't do any of them, then there's a possibility that you get dropped from the class. So just make sure you do something the first week. Well, in actuality, you should be doing everything, right? You should be doing the classwork, you should be doing the homework, and you should be doing the Padlet post as well. Okay, evaluation and feedback. The nice thing about having an online homework is that you know right away if you get something right or wrong. So the cool thing is in MyLab Math, if you get a wrong answer, you can actually redo it over and over again until you get it right. And that way you can get 100% on all your homework. So that's a big tip. And for some people, they don't like to work online the whole time. So you can actually print the homework problems. So there's another hint. You can print it out, work on the side, and then once you figure out the answer, enter it in. Okay, late work. Okay, you know, they work. Says after the deadline's passed, you automatically be locked out from completing assignments. That's true. If for some reason, if you have some extenuating circumstance that prevented you from doing the homework, then just send me an email. And you know, I typically don't have a problem granting extensions as long as it's not happening all the time. Missing assignments, just contact me via email. Proctor exam. Okay, this says proctor exams. They will be proctored via Zoom. We'll talk more about that when the time gets close. And I know you might, when you see that, you might be concerned about the time, but don't worry, don't worry. It's not, I'm going to be super flexible. If we're doing a Zoom call, it's going to be something where it's open all day and you can just pop in and out with a time that you want to take it. So it's not going to be like a specific time that you have to be here or there. So don't worry, we'll work with your work schedules, your other class schedules, and we'll make sure that you're able to take any exams at a convenient time for you, okay? Okay, grade breakdown is a typical thing. And then here's how the weights of each of the things are set up. So classwork is 5%. And I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but 5% for classwork, 5% for discussions, just those two things. Basically, that's worth a letter grade, right? So if you're getting a B, but you do all these things, then bumps you up to an A. Or if you don't do it, then it brings you down a letter grade, right? So classwork, super important. Discussion, super important. Homework is a grade and a half, 15%. So these three things, super important. And if you do all these three things, these three things, they're actually set up so that it's easy to get 100%, or it's like, it's just a matter of inputting the work, right? Classwork, super easy to get 100%, just do it. Discussions, same thing, super easy, just do it. Homework, you can redo questions until you get them right. So there's no excuse not to get 100%. If you get all three of those things done, then actually passing that class becomes super easy, because if you have 100% for these three things, you only need to average about 60% on, a little over 60% on your exams, and you're going to pass the course with a C. And if you want a B or an A, then just everything else bumps a little higher than that, but you get a free 100% for these three things, basically. Project people typically do pretty well on too, and then there's 2 exams plus the final exam. Okay, here's the important dates, including holidays and our spring break. Last day to withdraw, we talked about that earlier. Here it is again. Last day of instruction is a Wednesday, but it doesn't really affect us because we're asynchronous anyway. Exam week is May 6th to 10th, and our exam is tentatively scheduled for Wednesday, May 8th, and it would be all day. But that's a little tentative. Last semester I actually opened two separate days where you could take it anytime from 12 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. maybe. Okay, and here's the tentative schedule. And even though I said tentative, it's actually most likely going to be this, because we're in asynchronous class and there's not really a pacing issue where I feel like we're going too fast, we will slow down or something. So this is pretty much what you can expect the pacing of the class to be. You can come back here if you ever forget or you want to see where we're at, what we have coming. And the last page is just the standard institutional informational page. You'll see this on any syllabus that is using, actually all syllabuses are supposed to have this stuff, but not everyone does it. So you see some resources here for you, academic support, DSO links here as well if you have any disabilities where you require accommodations like extra testing time, or if you have to report anything, etc. So I'll let you guys look at that on your own. All right, guys, that covers the syllabus. We're done. Yes, with that, one more video, which will be going over the homework system, and then day 1 will be finished. See you guys in a little bit.